Thanks to Elon Musk's release of the Twitter files.
Twitter files?
The Twitter files.
On October 14, 2020, Twitter blocks the New York Post story on Hunter Biden and suspends their account.
The potential power of big tech.
Twitter has de-amplified.
Shadow ban.
Got censored too much.
Censored.
Censoring information that was true.
I'm here today because of a series of events that began late last year when I received a note from a source online. It read, "Are you interested in doing a deep dive into what censorship and manipulation is going on at Twitter?"
Clear that Republicans were targeted?
Kinds of statements were
Today,
suppressed.
American taxpayers are unwittingly financing the growth and power of a censorship industrial complex.
Unfortunately, our own government appears to be playing a lead role.
The Twitter files, state attorneys general lawsuits, and investigative reporters have revealed a large and growing network of government agencies, academic institutions, and non-governmental organizations that are actively censoring American citizens, often without their knowledge, on a range of issues.
Twitter worked overtime to suppress accurate COVID information.
We learned Twitter, Facebook, Google, and other companies developed a formal system for taking in moderation requests from every corner of government, from the FBI, the DHS, the HHS, DOD, the Global Engagement Center at State, even the CIA.
Moreover, we know that the U.S. government has funded organizations that pressure advertisers to boycott news media organizations and social media platforms that refuse to censor and/or spread disinformation, including alleged conspiracy theories.
Another troubling aspect is the role of the press, which should be the people's last line of defense in such cases. But instead of investigating these groups, journalists partnered with them.
The censorship industrial complex combines established methods of psychological manipulation, some developed by the U.S. military during the global war on terror, with highly sophisticated tools from computer science, including artificial intelligence.
A focus of this fast-growing network is making lists of people whose opinions, beliefs, associations, or sympathies are deemed misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. That last term is just a euphemism for true but inconvenient.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true?
But it was unusual and a little intimidating. You get up there, they intentionally design the hearing halls so that the members are looking down on you, and it's designed to put you ill at ease, and it works. You know, it's you're kind of off guard and you don't know exactly what's going to happen.
My understanding
so
is
I
that
didn't
they
ask a question. I didn't ask you a question, sir.
And you can't have it both ways, but let's move on.
Before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron.
In your answer, you also said that you were invited by a friend, Barry Weiss.
And the Republicans have brought in 2 of Elon Musk's public scribes.
She's a journalist.
Sir, I didn't ask you a question. So you're in this as a threesome?
The FBI had nothing to do with Twitter's decision to pause the New York Post story.
I am not aware of that.
I think the members saw Michael and me as people who, were traitors to the blue side.
Mr. Schellenberger, are you a Republican?
No, I'm not.
You got any, pro-Trump bumper stickers on your car?
I voted for Biden.
Voted for Biden. You don't have any MAGA hats laying around your house, right?
I do not.
Yeah, but you said earlier, both you and Mr. Taibbi said this is the most chilling thing you've ever seen as journalists. Mr. Taibbi, the same thing. You're not a Republican either, are you?
No. And so there was a special ferocity in their approach to us. There was so much hostility, and it was so open, and they were so aggressive in not letting us answer.
Well, folks like Taibbi are considered to be, and Schellenberger, class traitors, right? Traitors to their left. They're typically, they were preachers of the left, journalists that have been seen to be of the left. And they've betrayed the left's goals, which is to abandon the First Amendment and cast any support for free speech aside in suppressing countless Americans to achieve their political ends.
Who gave you access to these emails? Who was the individual that gave you permission to access the emails? Did Mr. Musk place any conditions on the use of the email?
Would the gentlelady yield for a second?
as long as my time is not used.
Are you trying to get journalists?
No,
to
I'm not
expose
trying to
their
get.
sources?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I
it
am
sure sounds
asking.
like it.
No, well, if you will let me finish, have you given all of the access to what you were given by your source to this committee?
No, I would never do that.
I just think this is interesting. First, the FTC is asking for your background, and now the ranking member of the Committee on the Weaponization of Government is asking for your sources. And then what really struck me is in the hearing, Democrat members of the committee asking two journalists to divulge their sources. I mean, it just further attack on the First Amendment, which was troubling. And then the final piece was, first these guys, get named by the FTC in a letter they send to Elon Musk, or they send to Twitter. And these letters that the FTC is sending, they named 4 journalists personally. 2 of them are Taibbi and Schellenberger. We just happened, that same week we learned that, we just happened to be calling them in, having them in for a hearing. They come in and testify. Democrats ask them while they're testifying, who are your sources? Another attack on the First Amendment. And of course, while they're getting asked those kind of questions, the IRS was knocking on Matt Taibbi's door in New Jersey, at his home.
So when I first came home that night after testifying, and my wife showed me the note that had been left on the door by the IRS agent saying, the IRS came by our house today while you were testifying, my immediate thought was that had to be a coincidence. It was too ridiculous to imagine that there could be any connection whatsoever between the testimony and the IRS visiting. Then subsequently, a couple of things I learned convinced me that it may actually not be innocent.
If that's not intimidation, I don't know what is.
I found out that they opened the case on December 24th of 2022, which was Christmas Eve, a Saturday, and it was the day that I dropped probably the biggest Twitter Files report about the DHS, the FBI, Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
You had the State Department, the CIA, the FBI, DHS, and HHS, all the president's men targeting Americans for censorship. And the broad nature of it is, to this day, astonishing. And what's really troublesome is that despite the Twitter files coming out, there's no reason to believe it stopped. That we've never seen anything like it in modern American history. You really have to go back to the first part of the last century under Woodrow Wilson, where he was jailing his political opponents and censoring speech. And of course, the Alien and Sedition Acts back in the beginning of our nation's founding. But this is the worst censorship scandal, and I would say the worst censorship scandal in terms of scope, given the sheer volume of individuals who have been caught up in it.
I hate to bring up this comparison because it sounds over the top, but there's a great scene in All the President's Men where Bob Woodward is sitting in the courtroom for the arraignment of the Watergate burglars, and he's kind of just following through, taking notes, and then finally, when the judge asks James McCord, where he works, and he kind of mumbles Central Intelligence Agency, and you see Woodward's eyes light up, and he goes, "Holy shit!" We had a lot of those moments.
Did you almost feel like, did you have the out-of-body experience where you were hearing yourself talk, but that's what people used to say when they were conspiracy theorists?
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a constant experience of the Twitter files. Was this inner voice always tells you when you're reporting to be distrustful of any narrative or any story that sounds too conspiratorial. But I would be looking at these emails where it would be FBI, DHS, ODNI, and then OGA, which is other government agencies, which is CIA, meeting with Wikimedia and Twitter and Facebook.
Everyone had their roles to play, and you don't need a lot of coordination once you know what your role is. The role of the FBI to suppress and censor material about Hunter Biden, these groups to act as a way station for censorship requests to big tech, and for the media to report all of it.
It's the left, it's the power of the left, it's the power of groupthink, it's the power of the cancel culture mob. If you disagree with them, they rally around and come after you. And again, we've seen it time and time again. It was wrong what happened. And I think now the people get the facts and understand it.
Hunter Biden.
This laptop.
Conspiracy.
This looks like Russian intelligence.
These emails are made up, or maybe some are real and others are fakes. We don't know.
They had the laptop in their possession for a year.
Russian intelligence operation.
FBI knows it's legit, knows it's real.
Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation.
Russian intelligence asset.
The Aspen Institute held what they called a hack and leak tabletop exercise to prepare for the possibility that a story would come out about Hunter Biden and Burisma. Like, it was that specific.
Obviously a Russian plot.
Russian disinformation.
Well, it reminds you a lot of psychological operations.
Look, they all knew that adverse information about Hunter and Joe Biden was going to come out, and they all knew what to do when it happened.